Welcome to Baseball Hell. The 2024 Major League Baseball season is underway for the Cubs and the Cardinals, and myself, Tommy the K, and my co-host, Ward Davis, are going to tell you all about it. Stick around.
46, 47, 48, 49. I'm getting a little tired. Can you keep going?
Yeah, I'm running out of ideas. So, Dave, I'm watching this game. I'm a little delayed, but so bottom of the ninth, Cardinals are losing 8-1, and it just torrential downpour just broke out, and they just had to stop the game and roll the tarp out. And it's just like a monsoon.
This is the Cardinals and the Marlins.
Cardinals and Marlins. Marlins are good.
Is it in Florida?
Trying to savor their first win of the year.
Is it in Florida?
No, it's in the Lou.
Oh,
it's like someone just flushed the Lou.
So what you're saying is the Marlins are 0-9, and they are trying to get their first win of the year, and it's being delayed by rain.
They're going to be 0-9 for a little bit longer.
Yeah. And what do you think they're saying on the bench? They're saying, like, could this go any longer than it's already gone?
Can somebody just send a message to Ollie Marmol and ask him if he'd kindly concede this game?
What's the score?
Like 8-1. It's hopeless. Standing ahead here.
Oh my God.
3 hours, 45 minutes, and the event is still in a rain delay.
Now the Cubs went on a rain delay a little over 2 hours ago. They are still in a rain delay, but here they have a 6-0 lead over the Dodgers. The
big bad Dodgers.
The big bad Dodgers, who everybody thinks is going to win the World Series. And if they win this game, expected to restart now. I just saw something at 5. It's 5:15 Central Time as we speak. It's supposed to start here in about 20 minutes. You can't just throw this game away because it's the bottom of the fourth inning. You have a 6-0 lead. Now, what normally happens with the Cubs is they pray that no rain comes, that we can get this game in, and then they'll lose. But at least they have a chance in this one.
No, and against the Dodgers, because hey, you're up, big lead on the Dodgers, and if they have to start the whole game over, what are the odds that you win that game, right? Because the Dodgers are so loaded.
Yeah.
So they got to sit and wait.
I was actually at the game yesterday, and it was freezing cold, and there was they gave away the broadcaster Pat Hughes sweaters. And I was very tempted to open up the package and put it on because it was that cold. But I knew the Cubs were going to lose yesterday because they loaded the bases with nobody out in the first inning and didn't score and ended up losing 4-1.
What were you wearing, and how cold was it?
I was wearing a thong.
I mean, outer garments.
Oh, outer garments. I was getting to that, by the way, but I just I thought I'd start with the undergarment. I was wearing a thong. For some reason, I was wearing an Indian headdress. I'm not really sure. Instead of a stocking cap. The stocking cap would have been, I thought the Indian headdress would have been warmer.
You wanted to be like that kid at the Chiefs game.
Well, I don't know.
Be labeled as a racist.
No, I don't know about that. I don't remember that. But I was wearing an Indian headdress, a tank top.
And you were still cold.
I was still cold. Yeah, I was still cold.
That must be from all the beer you drank.
Yes, I drank
$16 beers.
$16 for a beer at Wrigley Field.
And is it like a 24 ounce or what is it?
It's about 20 ounces, I would think. And then, you just wanted to say, there's still a little room at the top there. Would you mind just putting it back under there and filling it up a little bit?
For $16, would you at least fill it up all the way?
Yeah, that foam just cost me $1.50. So.
But you tipped them well, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they only take credit cards, and then you look at it, and you're like, they're looking at you, and like, oh, it asks you for a tip at the bottom, and then you feel like a jerk if you don't give them something. And...
You do, and they manipulate you, and usually it's like defaulted to 20%, and then you have to like right in front of them go no or less, and they're like
right in front of it's like 20%, 16% other, and then you put the other in. And then eventually I just take some like cash and just like, I'm just going to put other and I'm going to put zero in it.
And then you run away.
And then but then you lose beer.
I know. I was going to say, you'll run away and you'll lose $3 worth of beer, and you could have
Right.
gave them $2 tip.
I thought about that because they have like they still have the troughs. They redid the bathroom, but they still have the troughs.
Do they really?
But they have these long troughs like you see at these.
Yeah, the NASCAR race troughs. Yeah.
Where the metal troughs in there, and then the water kind of runs down every once in a while. But then they have this a thing on the top where you could set your beer down. And I'm thinking, if you spill a beer, say it falls into the trough, or you put it down wrong, or anywhere you spill a beer anywhere, that's $16 or plus tip down the drain. I mean, so you go to a game, just one person goes to a game, and you have 2 beers, you're spending close to $100.
Yeah. Now, you took the train?
I did.
Yeah. So you're not.
Well, there's another $2.50 right there.
Yeah, but if you drove, it's what, $20 to park, probably, right?
Oh,
what's even parking like around Wrigley Field?
No, I've heard parking's like $40, $50, $60 around there.
Wow. And you're probably about a mile away, right? Do they shuttle you up, or do you still have to hoof it all the way to the?
No, if you want to go, you could park, with a shuttle. It's fairly cheap, but if you want to go to around the ballpark, it's like $50, $60. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you just keep coming back for more.
Wrigley Field. Well, no, and I didn't, not as much as I used to. I mean, I think I went to one game last year. I think maybe a couple of years ago I never went. I used to go to easily 4, 5, 6 games a year, and now I just go to maybe one.
Yeah. So. I think I went to 2 in St. Louis last year. Yeah, and it was fun, but it's expensive, and it's the same price. $16 a beer or whatever. I think it was like 14 last year, so it's probably 16 this year. Or if you want one of those fancy mixed drinks that have they use a thimble instead of a shot glass for the liquor. Those are like $18, but you get a souvenir plastic cup.
Well,
and you're going to get drunk and leave it there anyway. And I did that. I bought 2 of them, and then I left them there.
Well, I saw that they sell at Wrigley. I'm talking about Wrigley. You know what you're talking about, going to games. I'll go to more White Sox games down the Sox Park on the south side, because not only are the Sox bad and you can an easier ticket, but it just seems like it's just an easier game to go to.
You feel sorry for
him? Not really, but
not really.
I don't feel sorry for Reinsdorf and the owners, and they have this terrible team and this terrible product, and then they're trying to, and then they're like, we need a new stadium and we need you to pay for it.
Yeah,
He's a billionaire, and
yeah.
But let me tell you about a souvenir though at Wrigley Field. There was I saw many people walking around with it. It was like the small plastic Cub helmet with nachos and cheese in it. And by the time they get to their seat, it's cold. The only thing that's warming them up is there's like 3 jalapenos on there. And that just, they pretend like, well, it's a little warm because of the jalapeno, but everything else is cold. The cheese is coagulating. It's in a helmet. But
those are those helmets that you used to get the ice cream sundae in, right? If you were rich when you were a kid, right? Like, we never had enough money to get them.
No.
I saw the advertisement on TV, and I was like, Dad, can I get it?
Yeah.
No.
Those would be real small ones. This is like almost, it would fit on your head. And this is I don't know. I didn't check the price, but I'm guessing it's probably about, because you get to keep the helmet, as if you're going to put this on your head after having cheese and nachos in it and jalapenos. You got to wash this thing out.
You could gently wash it as to not erase the logo, and
you don't want to erase the logo. It's upside down, so you when you cleaned it out, you got to just kind of look. I don't know what is. I didn't even see if there was a logo on it. It has to be a logo.
Has to be, yes. There has to be a Cub logo on it.
Yeah, they should probably sell it by as good as the team is. You want the White Sox nachos? That's about $9. The Cub nachos are $14.
The Dodger nacho?
They're 26.
$26 plus tip.
Yeah.
And it defaults to 30%.
We gotta pay for Otani. So
for the next 50 years. I mean, this is kind of mean, but do you hope Otani like gets hurt or something, and they have to just pay him $700 million and they don't get shit out of him?
Well, I think they've gotten a lot out of him just because of the what money he brings in.
Yeah, but if he totally got hurt and then he disappears after like a year into the contract, 4 years later, nobody's going to give a damn.
Well, it's not just getting hurt. How about the fact that he, there's some kind of controversy that we're not hearing about that much now.
Well, that was his translator made the $4 million bets with his own money. It wasn't money, of course.
We don't know the whole story.
Yeah. They hushed that up pretty good.
Is it possible that that he had something to do with it? I mean, probably not, but is it possible?
Okay, you're a translator. You're probably making $100,000 a year, and you're out placing $4 million bets. Okay. All right.
Wait, are we saying the same thing?
You're being sarcastically politically incorrect, and I'm just being blatantly politically incorrect.
So, what do you think that Otani had something to do with it?
Yes, absolutely. Come on, where's that kind of money? That kind of coin flowing through the airwaves across the internet, to a gambling site. Come on.
Are you saying that rich sports stars, I don't know, like Michael Jordan had gambling problems?
Not Michael Jordan.
No, I'm not saying any of them have.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess if you got that much money, you might be tempted to throw it around, and that's fine. But he should have been a little. If he did it, he should have been a little wiser about that.
Yeah. Well, it's been pretty quiet, so we'll see what happens. Who knows?
So, Dave, here we are. We got this podcast. We haven't even introduced ourselves. You're Ward Davis, someone I've known since I was only 4 years old. You realize that? We went to kindergarten together. And one of the earliest memories that I have, certainly of kindergarten or school, is talking about the Cubs and the Cardinals with you, sitting at remember those little tables? They had a table where you had 6 people or so sitting at it, and you and I happened to sit across from each other. And I think we were very adept at spewing whatever Cub and Cardinal rhetoric our fathers were saying around the house. We would bring it to school and throw it at each other. Yeah. And we were too young to know anything, right? Ourselves.
You, of course, being a Cardinal fan.
Yes.
And I being a Cub fan.
Yes.
And I would, of course, would school you on baseball. Right.
And that was the fall of 1969, right?
That was about 1969. And so 31, which the Cubs were pretty good then. They didn't get to
but neither of us knew it.
They didn't get to the playoffs, but
now wait a minute. Now back then that was even before cable. So I don't think you were even getting to watch the Cubs on TV then, were you?
No, but I saw my first Cub game at 5 years old.
Okay.
At Wrigley Field.
Okay.
And
you, I'm sure you remember who they played.
No.
No,
I do. The only thing I remember was I was brought up there by my parents, and then several other siblings were there, and I had to go and pee twice during the game. And both times I peed, and this is my dad told me later, he said, both times you had to go to pee, I took you to pee, and both times you peed, Ron Santo hit a home run.
No way.
Absolutely true.
Oh, man.
And he said, I kind of remember it like a slight memory was like looking at him, I'm peeing, he's holding me up over this trough, and he looked and was like, God damn it. Just like, well, I believe at that point he left me in the bathroom, went to watch the home run.
Yes.
And left me to pretty much, but I was pretty resilient. I went and got a hot dog and a beer and came back.
Good for you. You always were a fast learner, Davis.
That was a true story. 5 years old. It's 1969. First
And
baseball game at Wrigley Field, and Sano hits 2 home runs. And of course, I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now I remember my first Cardinal game. I want to say I was probably 6 or 7, so I was a little bit older. And my grandfather and my dad drove just me, to a ball game. And I remember they played the Padres. I do remember that, and I remember they won the game. I want to say it was like 9-3 or something. They won easily. But the thing I really remembered from that game, the Padres had a pitcher named Diego Segui. I don't know if you remember this guy, but he'd been around for a long time even then. But he was one of those real high leg kick guys. He had like that Juan Marichal leg, and I remember that. And I remember then when I went back and I was pitching in my like Corey League team, I can't remember, minors or whatever, 7 or 8 years old, and I was trying to do that leg kick and trying to pitch that way, throwing the ball over the backstop. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that game, and yeah, my grandfather and my dad is a good memory. And but I went to several games, and Old Bush Stadium, nobody ever hit a home run, and I wanted to see a home run. I remember going. I went to like 3 or 4 games with my dad, and I never saw a home run. I was probably like 10 or 11 years old by then. And I remember then he took my older sister to a game, and Joe Torre hit a home run. I remember being so jealous. Finally, God, I must have been like 7th grade or something, 7th or 8th grade. I finally went to a game. It was a doubleheader. Remember Reggie Smith?
Yes.
But he was on the Dodgers then, and I think he hit 2 home runs.
Oh,
But
wow.
at least I got to see a couple home runs. But yeah, it was rare to get to see a home run when you went to Old Bush. It was terrible.
Well, the old Bush Stadium. You never got to Sportsman's Park, the old St. Louis.
No, because I think they opened Bush in '64, so that was the year I was born. I think 63 or 64, something like that. Yeah. Apparently they had a short porch in right field, but they had a screen up, and if you hit the screen, it was a double, not a home run.
Yeah, my brother John went to see some Cardinal games, playoff game, World Series games. He went down there to in the old Sportsman's back there. And what year would that have been?
That must have been '64.
Yeah,
because they played the Yankees.
Right, because they were in the World Series the year I was born.
Well, but that, yeah, I think maybe '65 might have been the year they opened up the new park. Yeah, because they played the Yankees in '64.
Right. Yankees. They played the Yankees, and my grandfather took my oldest brother there, took him to see the game, one of the games.
All right, so Dave, here we are. It's 2024. Cubs coming off a pretty decent season, 2023. You know, if Suzuki could catch a fly ball, they probably make the playoffs, right? He drops that fly ball. I couldn't believe that, but that was really weird. But Cardinals, on the other hand, nightmare of a season. It was really, really rough. So here we are, 9-10 games in. What do you think of the Cubs?
Cubs have, I think, like a lot of teams, pitching is going to be a problem. They have some youngsters that they're going to have to rely on, and they're going to have to rely on them for a full season. Justin Steele is injured. When he comes back, he might make him a little stronger. Don't know Kyle Hendricks, how much gas he's still got in him.
Yeah, he wasn't too good last year, right? And now
he was okay last year. He didn't start off well, but he made himself better. So there's still an opportunity because he's a pretty wily veteran. But they're going to have to rely on guys like Assad and the new guy from Japan, Imanaga, and
he looks good.
And Wicks. And
Wicks good.
And I think they're going to have to bring up a couple people. They got this Cade Horton. They might have to bring him up a little early. He was a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago. He's one of the top MLB, one of the prospects. I think they're going to have to bring him up later on. They're going to have to rely on a lot of their youngsters. And so I don't know how far they can go with that. I think next year is probably their best chance. The Cardinals, I don't know. They injuries. And what do you think of them?
They've got some injuries, but, I mean, it's bad to lose their Sonny Gray because he was really the only arm they were supposed to be able to truly count on for this year. You know, Newt Barr's hurt. People were hoping for good things from Newt Barr, but if he's just going to be what he was last year, it's not that big a deal that he's not there right now, right? I mean, but if he's going to blossom, they're missing out on something. Dylan Carlson's hurt, but he's been awful the last 2-3 years. He was going to be just a fourth outfielder with a good glove, and he can play center field if they needed somebody. Tommy Edman out. He was going to start in center, but he's really a guy who should be a second baseman. And then they moved him to shortstop. Then they moved him to center field. He really doesn't have the arm to play center field, but he's got a good glove and he moves well. But he's not a big hitter. He's like maybe a 680, 700 ops. He's not a big hitter. So they've got a lot of injuries, but I don't think that's really holding them back at the moment. And they've gotten off to a decent start. They're hanging in there.
And their pitching hold up. Adam Wainwright back.
I think Wainwright was at the game today. Kyle Gibson was on the mound, but it looked like Wainwright was on the mound and Gibson was up in the booth. It was that bad.
I think Wainwright, I did see a quick shot. Somebody showed him just sitting in the stands, just singing to himself.
So he played a concert last night and opened up for, who's the big star? Zach something? I'm not a country guy. I don't want to get our 3 followers angry. Yeah, he opened up a concert and played the opening act, and I guess everybody thought he was great. And of course, he's playing in St. Louis, so they're not. What are they going to do? Boo him? Yeah. Get off the stage,
Tom. Are we at a time limit on this show?
We don't have one, but there's a limit to how much of us people can tolerate. And I think we've exceeded that.
We're in the 27th minute, gentlemen. If you have listening to this in 27 and a half, we're in the 28th minute. If you're still listening to this, thank you, because you are you are blessed, because the best is yet to come.
Is it?
Well,
no,
has to be better, doesn't it?
Well, but Cardinals, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson.
If you're relying on Lance Lynn, it's trouble.
Yeah. 3 home runs the other day.
With pitching, the Cubs, they need Justin Steele desperately. And the Cardinals need that Gray.
Sonny Gray, yeah.
Sonny Gray, who sounds like he's probably one of the, like a hitman for the mob.
That was Sonny Corleone, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That was James Caan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Sonny Corleone. It's Sonny Gray. Like, get Sonny Gray on this. Yeah. Get Sonny Gray to take care of the situation.
Yeah. Well, he took care of it. He pulled a hamstring on basically warming up for his first preseason start. So,
but that's what they told the Don. They said there was a half a horse in Sonny Gray's bed.
Yes. I remember seeing that at the drive-in. I must have. God, this was another one. Like my dad and mom used to take us, pile us in the station wagon to take us to the drive-in every once in a while, right?
Yeah. And
for some reason, we saw The Godfather. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I remember that horse head scene. This guy wakes up and he's covered in blood and screaming, and God, it just burned into my brain. Hey, thanks, Dad.
You woke up the next morning and you eating your sugar pops, and you're thinking.
No, every morning when I woke up, I was afraid I was going to look down and see a horse head under my sheets.
Yeah, I know, but then you're still thinking about it when you're eating your life.
I mean, my sugar-coated sugar pops, yeah. So Dave, the pleasant surprise so far for the Cubs, what is it? After 9 games, 10 games, what is it?
Timely hitting. They're hitting.
Yeah.
And they're getting the breaks. I mean, you get a couple of breaks against Colorado. That's one thing. I mean, Colorado looked terrible.
Boy, they did.
I mean, every ball would bounce by them.
Or off of them.
The thing is, you realize every team can win about, they're full of major leaguers. So every team has an opportunity to win about 70 games. And if you have really good players, you could add about 10 or 12 games to that. And then you got to get breaks, 10 to 12 games breaks, and they got to go your way,
Yeah. Look at the Marlins. They won all those 1-run games last year, right? And now, boom, off to a 0-9 start. because they're not getting that break. That stuff tends to even out over time, right? Plus, they depleted their roster a little bit, and they're a little more vulnerable. But yeah, the Rockies did look bad. I was watching those games, Dave. I watched the Cub games, and
they're
other than that one, they had that pseudo comeback, where Cubs almost blew that one game. But other than that, they were just getting pounded.
Well, they were just throwing the games away. I mean, they couldn't field the ball.
Yeah, they were throwing the ball around and just looking really bad. Oh, they had that one Little League play. Remember the three? Wasn't there like a 3-run triple or inside the park home run where they just threw it looked like Little League.
Yeah, it was a Little League home run. It was I think a triple with air to score.
What's your disappointment so far? What are you worried about? Something's not happening that should have been a little better, and you're getting real worried now.
Pitching and the bullpen. I was hoping again that the Cubs would, and they could have definitely afforded it because of what he got. But I was hoping that the Cubs, with the one free agent signing I really wanted to see, even more than Bellinger, was I wanted to see him pick up that Josh Hader for the bullpen.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might not have a great season or whatever, but I thought he would be he and Alzolay would have been a great lefty-righty closing team. You can't because last year what happened was they just burned up the bullpen, and by the end of the year they just were dead. Their arms were dead. And I thought, well, this could be, you could just have a different closer every day to go along with Merriweather and Leader and Leiter, and I thought that the Hector Neris pickup was a good one from the Astros, but I was hoping for that. So I'm worried about the bullpen. I'm worried about the starting pitching because it's going to be young. Happy about their offense so far.
Look good.
But worried and not too. It was so far the pitching's been okay, but I just worry. I don't see it lasting long term, and I worry about the division because the division's better.
Yeah, can the Pirates be for real though?
Yeah, I think that if I don't know. It just seems like the Pirates and the Reds the last few years have they get there and then they drop. But I think this could be, a switch. This could be a switch to, they have
back to the 70s when the Pirates and the Reds won the divisions every year.
Right, and both of them have great farm systems like the Cubs and the Milwaukee, and they keep saying this division's mediocre, but they have the best farm systems. And that's the way the National League Central is going. The East and the West, the National League, they spend the money. In the East, they have, Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York, they spend the money. In the West, the Dodgers,
got both. Bring up a new stud pitcher, it seems like every year out of their farm system, and plus they spend all the money, and
Yeah, and then the Central goes farm system, and now it's going to build up, and it might get to the point where the Central is the best division, and I don't know. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh could be pretty darn good this year.
Well, if Pittsburgh even flirts with 500, that is a big change in that division. Now that's a bunch of easy wins that are gone.
That's right. Yeah, you're not going to get those. But yeah, the division, because you're playing the division, although you're not playing as many,
not as much
in the division.
Used to be 18. Yeah, used to get to go beat on them 18, 19 times. Yeah, not anymore. Well, I think the Cardinals, I say the most pleasant surprise, the defense has been good. I think they might have made their first error today. I was watching out of the corner of my eye. I saw Arenado fumble the ball, but they hadn't made an error up until then, and they've made some nice plays. And Victor Scott out in center field is a true ball hawk. He's really awesome. Jordan Walker doesn't look lost in right as he was, and Brendan Donovan's surprisingly decent fielder in left. And the infield has shored it up. They went from being like the best defense in the league, I think, in the National League in 2022 to being maybe the worst last year. They were just awful. And the funny thing is like it's almost the same guys, but they're the same nucleus. Yeah, they've gotten their emphasis back on the defense. Now, what am I worried about? I mean, one thing, I mentioned Victor Scott, but he's batting like 090. He's not ready to hit in the major leagues. So they're going to have to send him down. He's got to get his AAA at bats. He's never played AAA. But of course, the obvious gorilla in the room is the pitching for the Cardinals, and primarily the starting pitching, especially with Gray out. But he'll be back, I think, this month. But Lynn, Gibson, Michaelis, Zach Thompson. They've tried Matthew Liberatore 3 years in a row now. He just can't. That's the guy they traded Randy Arozarena for. So he's always got that stigma attached to him, and he hasn't come through yet. The bullpen is all right, but if the starting pitching collapses, it's going to be just like last year. The bullpen's coming in the fourth inning, and they're going to be worn out, just like you said the Cubs were last year. They're going to just be shot. Andre Palante had, I think, 62 appearances or 64 appearances last year. And a lot of those were more than one inning. I mean, they just burned that guy's arm up. A young pitcher, he's not bad, So luckily, he looks like he grew his arm back this year. I guess he looks okay.
Kind of like Madden did with Aroldis Chapman in the 2016.
Because he knew he was only going to have him that one season, so he's like, I don't care if I destroy his career.
I don't care about this guy. 3 innings, I'll put him in. We're up 6-2. I'll put him in.
Yeah.
I'll make sure.
Aroldis, we need a 3-inning save out of you again. Get on out there. Yeah. Hey, they got a World Series out of it.
Yeah.
Prediction time, Davis.
I predict that the sun will be eclipsed by the moon somewhere around the 2:00 area on April the 8th, I think.
You're going out on a limb here.
Yeah. Well, that, they don't call me Nostradamus for nothing.
Nice. Where are the Cubs going to finish up? More than 85 wins?
Second place, Cardinals in third. Yeah, both of them with 85 wins.
They're right around that 85 win.
Truly, I don't see the Cardinals winning 85. I'd say Cardinals about 80. I don't see them, which would be an improvement.
Yes.
Wouldn't it?
Yes. Substantial.
But I don't see, unless they pick up, and get a little aggressive and pick up some player. I think they have the offense, but I think that
if it performs, it's so inconsistent.
But I think the pitching is a problem, and it could say the same for the Cubs. It could be like 80 wins and the Cardinals 85. Yeah, it's.
I think the Cubs have a better shot at 85 wins. They're riding a little momentum from last year, right? They know, hey, we can do this. We're good. Yeah, we still got Suzuki, but he's not going to drop a fly ball, in the last week of the season this time. And he's actually a good player, right?
And we're saying this on April 7th of 2024. So it's.
Yeah. But I think the Cubs
are
riding the momentum. I think here's the danger with the Cardinals. They're going to be, at least for the first month or two, they're riding the edge here because they're going, are we really any good or do we suck like we did last year? And if they lose 2-3 games in a row, they're going to be looking at each other going, oh, here we go again. I think they got that mentality. I think the Cubs, have a little more solid footing under them because they did play well last year, and they established something and they're trying to build on it. The Cardinals are trying to prove that last year was just a total fluke, but with that pitching staff, you can't go out and confidently make that statement.
Yeah, they don't want to really. I mean, they've stayed a little older with their veterans, but I think they need to go with their youth, and I think they would be, they've had success with that before.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken before about the fact that I think you thought that maybe it's time for the Goldschmidt Arenado, as good as they are, move them along with the young players that they have, they could get to help their pitching staff, because
that's what, in my mind, that's what they should have done. I mean, so you say armchair quarterback here, but now they've almost waited too long, because pretty apparent now, though. I don't think those guys are going to be anywhere near what they used to be. And maybe this offseason, they still could have gotten something for Arenado and Goldschmidt, at least got some good pitching prospects, and got Nolan Gorman to play third. You got Jordan Walker. You probably got to get him out of that outfield. He's either going to kill himself or kill somebody out there. He's 6'7", 260 pounds. He just gave Dylan Carlson a glancing blow right at the end of preseason and knocked him out for several weeks, took his knee out. I mean, he's going to hurt himself too out there. I think they probably need to think about putting him on first base. They got Newt Barr, and they got Tommy Edman coming back. Tommy Edman won a Gold Glove at second base. That's where he should be. I think they could have gone with that youth movement, but they were too scared to do it because they're worried about butts in seats, right? And Goldschmidt and Arenado are the big name brand that
yeah, but the youngsters they've been playing there for a little bit, so it's not like they're just coming up. It's not like the Cubs were like, okay, let's put Pete Crow Armstrong out there and hope for the best, They
yeah, they could have, but I think the Cardinals, back to the prediction, I think Cubs 85 wins. I think they can do it. Cardinals, they could win 85, but I think they're more likely to be trying to be 500.
Well, it'll be an interesting season, and we will speak again about it. And I think, by the way, the Cubs have started again, and they're past the fifth inning. So they're up 7-0. So if they do, they hopefully they can hold on to this game. And for an update here on April 7th.
This is not fair. The Cubs are picking on those big bad Dodgers. Trying to take 2 out of 3.
I'm just glad the eclipse didn't happen today, with all that rain and clouds and stuff. When we wouldn't have been able, it would have been dark anyway.
Well, all right, Dave. I think we've covered our material for this week.
That's right.
Launching this podcast to rousing applause. I can hear it in the background. You listen. All right, my friend. Keep an eye on them.
The crowd. Thank you. By the way, let me just address the crowd here for a second here. Do you all have a ride home after this show? Because hopefully someone will help you out.
Yeah, because we know you're probably intoxicated if you've been with us the full 45 minutes. Yeah.
Right. We are, but
I'm walking.
Oh, I thought you were my designated driver. No. By the way, a pro tip for the when I went to the game yesterday, I was with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And they pointed out that if you go to the service desk, and you tell them that you are at least this is true at Wrigley Field, that you are a designated driver for another ticketed person, and sign your name to it, they will give you a coupon for a free pop or a water or a drink or whatever. That's so. If anybody listened into the 47th minute,
and if you really think ahead, sneak in a flask of whiskey, and then you go tell them you're a designated driver. They give you a free soda, and you pour that whiskey in your soda.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't know this, but this will happen next time. Yeah. I will bring in but it's very difficult to do. But you could just bring in those little tiny little cordials, stick them in the front of your underwear if you wear underwear at a ball game. Some people don't. They ask you what's that little thing in the X-ray. You just tell them that's your thing, and they say, do you have two things? And you said yes. You just say yes, and just let them figure it out.
Yeah, they're professionals.
They're professional, and they will be discreet, I'm sure. Because we see two things down there, and you just say, do you have two things? And you say yes, and look at them, and then just kind of raise your eyebrows. You might even shave your eyebrows to do that, because they want to get rid of you by that point. Actually, maybe just one eyebrow. Just shave one eyebrow and just like raise that one.
If that's your job and you're thinking, oh God, I either got to pull this guy's underwear down or just tell him to just freaking go.
Just
right?
go.
Just go.
He says he has two things, and two personal items in his pants, and one of them is attached. And then you go and you sign up and say, I'm going to, be a personal driver for a designated driver.
And then they look at your driving record and they see you got 4 DUIs. And
well, no, you don't have to. The funny thing is, you don't have to put your driver's license down. But let me just say, don't do this if you are actually driving. Do this only if you are taking the train or a bus or or Uber or public transportation.
A Uber.
We should Uber. But this is something that you just make sure that this is we need to point this out, Tom. On the Tommy the K. What is your name? I can't remember.
It's my full name, but yes, the is my middle name.
I was always wondering what that T stood for.
Mm-hmm.
The nuns, they'd ask, you had to write that out.
Oh, that's why I made up a middle name, because if I told them they would smack me.
And Tommy the K, let me tell you something. When you and I got in trouble in the 6th grade, what was the word we got in trouble for?
That would be giblets.
That's right. Can you explain the situation?
No, I really can't.
Well, I'll tell you.
Because it's not. Because when you look back on it, it really isn't funny. But we thought it was at the time.
Right. We were sitting next to each other in class, because since we brought it up, I'll just give you a quick rundown. We were sitting next to each other.
Thanks you.
And we were thinking of funny words, and we thought the word giblets was funny. And our 6th grade nun, Sister Aline, did not think it was funny. So what she did was she had to stay after class and write the word numerous times on a piece of paper. And we looked at her, we just said, and she said, "Is it funny? Do you really think it's funny? Write it out." And
it's very funny, is it?
We realized it wasn't funny.
But I thought, first of all, I didn't know what giblets was. I'm going, what is it? And I remember you told me, you go, it's soul food. It's chicken or something. Yeah.
Turkey giblets.
Yeah. Giblet gravy. Oh yeah. It's the stuff, the neck and the back and all that crap
right.
Stuffed inside a turkey at Thanksgiving. Yeah. And you make giblet gravy out of it if you like that. Yeah. But we were writing, they made us write the names, and then we started getting the funny going again, because we were writing stuff like the Leaning Tower of Giblets and
right.
Jimmy J. Giblet, and
right. But, yeah. Right. So then we kept putting the giblets, but the nun actually said she said, "No more fun of any kind. I will take that fun away from you."
And she did.
And for 6th grade, we're like,
you had that power.
We were just having fun. We were just being silly. And she said, "No, you can't.
You're here to suffer." And that you will.
And I believe we were separated after that.
Yeah. That's the way the ball bounces. All right, Davis, let's wrap it up, man. Podcast number 1, Baseball Hell, ladies and gentlemen, with your host, Tommy the K, and Ward Davis, the 19th, biggest Cub fan on the planet. We'll see you next time.
So long, everyone.